the legendary love story of Hades and Persephone, a love that breaks the seasons. Hello everyone! In today's video, we're diving into one of the most legendary love stories in Greek mythology, the love story between Hades and Persephone. Many people know them as a couple with a rather controversial beginning. Was Hades truly a kidnapper? Or is their story something deeper than that? Let's find out. The story begins. Hades, the god of the underworld, cold and rarely leaving his dark realm, suddenly encounters Persephone, the daughter of Zeus and Demeter. At first, Hades had no intention of leaving the underworld. However, when he met Persephone, he immediately fell in love with her. But of course, their relationship wasn't as simple as it sounds. Zeus, who had previously made an agreement with Hades, gave his consent for one of his daughters to be married off to him. But there was one big problem. Demeter, Persephone's mother, would never agree to hand her daughter over to Hades, the ruler of the dead. These two gods then devised a plan to make Persephone become Hades' wife. The next day, Demeter descended to earth, leaving Persephone under the watch of sea nymphs. However, when Persephone was in a garden, she saw a beautiful narcissus flower and decided to pick it. As she bent down to grab the flower, the earth around her started to tremble. Suddenly, Hades appeared with his black chariot and kidnapped Persephone, taking her to the underworld. The sea nymph, Zeon, who was tasked with guarding Persephone, could only cry as she watched her friend being taken away. Zeon's tears flowed until they formed a river, which became known as the Zeon River. Demeter searches for Persephone. Demeter, frantic, searched all over the earth for Persephone, but could not find her. Demeter's distress caused the earth to dry up, crops died, and animals starved. The entire world was on the brink of destruction. Zeus finally realized that if Demeter's anger was not quelled, the earth would be destroyed. He promised to bring Persephone back to Mount Olympus. However, while in the underworld, Hades treated Persephone very well. He even created a beautiful garden just for her, and she began to feel comfortable there. Persephone eventually grew to love Hades. Hades' final gift. When Zeus finally allowed Persephone to return to the upper world, Hades feared that Persephone might choose to stay on Olympus. He gave Persephone a pomegranate, which in Greek mythology had the power to bind anyone who ate it to the underworld. Persephone, having eaten the pomegranate, was now bound to Hades. Demeter was furious with Persephone's decision to stay with Hades. However, because of the power of the pomegranate, Persephone had to spend half of the year with Hades in the underworld and the other half with Demeter on Mount Olympus. The cycle of the seasons. This decision created the cycle of the seasons on Earth. When Persephone is in the underworld with Hades, the Earth becomes barren and enters winter. But when Persephone returns to the upper world with Demeter, the Earth becomes fertile again, and spring and summer follow. Controversy and perspectives. This love story has sparked much debate. Some people defend Hades because he treated Persephone very well, even showing a softer side of himself that is rarely seen. Others, however, feel that Hades kidnapped Persephone and forced her to live in the underworld. The depths of their love and the world they shaped together. While the story of Hades and Persephone might seem like a tragic tale of abduction at first, it's essential to understand the underlying depth of their relationship. The love they shared, while controversial, is also a representation of two powerful figures navigating the realms of fate, desire, and balance. Persephone's transformation. At the start of her time in the underworld, Persephone was a victim of circumstances. She was torn from the world she knew, her mother, and everything she loved. However, over time, Persephone began to adapt to her new environment. As she spent more time with Hades, she became a queen of the underworld, ruling beside him with grace and wisdom. Despite her initial resistance, Persephone learned to govern the souls of the dead, and in doing so, she transformed into a more powerful and complex figure. This transformation was not only symbolic of her growth, but also represented the changing seasons. As she embraced her role in the underworld, Persephone became an embodiment of duality, both a goddess of life and death. Her journey speaks to the balance of light and dark, a theme that is central to many mythological tales. Hades, the god of the underworld. Hades is often portrayed as the villain of the story, the god who kidnaps an innocent goddess. However, his character is much more nuanced. He isn't the same as his brothers Zeus and Poseidon. He doesn't enjoy the same level of visibility or power. Hades rules over the dead, a realm that many gods would shy away from, but he is committed to his duties. He has little time for the affairs of the living, which contrasts greatly with Zeus's dominance over the skies and Poseidon's reign over the seas. When Hades fell in love with Persephone, it was not out of malice or cruelty. It was because of a deep and genuine affection that transcended the underworld's darkness. He gave her a beautiful garden, made her feel welcome, and treated her as an equal. Though his methods of securing her as his wife were far from ideal, one cannot deny the depth of the emotional connection between them. The eternal dance, their shared rule. When Persephone returned to the underworld each year, she didn't return as a prisoner. Rather, she came back as Hades' queen, an equal partner in ruling the souls of the dead. Together, they balanced the realms of life and death. Persephone, with her bright, vibrant energy, contrasted against the shadows of Hades' domain, bringing light to the darkness. This partnership between Hades and Persephone symbolizes balance in the universe. It shows how opposing forces, light and dark, life and death, can coexist and even complement one another. The underworld wasn't just a place of suffering. It became a realm where souls could find peace, guided by Persephone's compassion and Hades' steady hand. The symbolism of the pomegranate. The pomegranate, the fruit that Hades offered Persephone, is an essential symbol in Greek mythology. It's a fruit of life and death, regeneration and finality. By eating the pomegranate, Persephone sealed her fate. But in a way, this fruit became a metaphor for her dual life. Half of the year she would live in the underworld, reign over the dead, and become one with the darkness. The other half she would return to the earth, bringing fertility and renewal as she reunited with her mother. This cycle created the seasons and reinforced the ancient Greeks' understanding of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Persephone's journey through the realms of both the living and the dead reflects a universal truth, that every ending holds the seed of a new beginning. The nature of their love, a lesson in acceptance. While some view Hades' actions as a form of abduction, there is another interpretation. The relationship between Hades and Persephone is an allegory for how love and relationships evolve through time. It speaks to the necessity of adaptation, compromise, and, most importantly, the acceptance of one's circumstances. Persephone, despite her initial abduction, learned to love the underworld. She found strength and purpose in her role as Hades' queen. Hades, in turn, showed that even the darkest of gods could possess the capacity for love and tenderness. The unexpected immortality, sacrifice, and unconquerable promises. As we delve deeper into the story of Hades and Persephone, we begin to understand that their relationship is far more complex than merely the meeting of two gods. Every aspect of their story is layered with mysteries, an unfolding journey that will leave you astonished. The call of fate, life and death. Intertwined. When Persephone begins to feel Hades' presence as her partner, she realizes something bigger at play, a fate that involves both worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead. Hades may rule the underworld, but in truth, the worlds of life and death are inseparable. The life filled with fertility, brightness, and changing seasons is always connected to death, which forms the end of every story. Hades and Persephone are two sides of the same coin, each playing an essential role in maintaining the balance of the universe. The conflict looms. Who controls fate? However, despite their complementary nature, a great tension hovers over their relationship, and it comes from the outside world. There is resistance from the gods on Olympus, who do not fully agree with how Hades and Persephone's relationship has developed. Some believe Hades is not worthy to be Persephone's partner, especially with the way he abducted her. Additionally, there is Demeter's concern, Persephone's mother, who cannot accept seeing her daughter separated from her and taken to the underworld. She will do anything to separate them, even if it means destroying life on Earth. But will that stop Persephone from staying with Hades? Or can their love break through all barriers, even resistance from family and gods? The power of the pomegranate. What does it really mean? The pomegranate given to Persephone by Hades is not just a physical gift, it symbolizes their commitment. Each seed of the pomegranate that Persephone eats is part of her that will forever be tied to the underworld. When Persephone returns to Earth to reunite with her mother, a part of her remains in the underworld. This is the compromise she must face, the fate she must accept. But the pomegranate also hides a deeper secret. It grants unexpected power. Over time, Persephone begins to feel a change within herself. Each time she returns to the underworld, she is no longer just Demeter's helpless daughter. She becomes a more daring and powerful figure, the goddess who brings renewal and change to the underworld. The hidden truth. What does Hades truly want? Meanwhile, Hades himself harbors a secret that has yet to be fully revealed. Many perceive him as dark and full of hatred, but in reality, deep within his heart, he has other intentions. When Hades first abducted Persephone, it wasn't solely for power or control. In truth, Hades was lonely. In the underworld, he ruled over a vast kingdom filled with souls, but there was no one to accompany him. What he truly sought was not just a queen, but a true companion, someone who could complete his emptiness. He wanted someone who could understand the darkness within him, someone who could stand with him in solitude, who could unite light and darkness, life and death. And as Persephone began to embrace her role as the queen of the underworld, Hades felt as though he had finally found someone who could understand him. The unforeseen mission, uniting two worlds. However, this story is far from over, for a greater threat is approaching, a mission far beyond their love. The gods on Olympus, with their boundless power, are not only dismissive of Hades and Persephone's relationship, but they also seek more than just the balance of the worlds. There will be an evil force that will test their bond, a fate that challenges every feeling of love they have built. How will Hades and Persephone face this threat? Will they stand together, or is separation inevitable? And perhaps, most startling of all, is there a greater force that has been orchestrating all of this from the very beginning? Courage and sacrifice, a story yet to be unraveled. With every change of season, with each return of Persephone to the underworld, she realizes that their fate is bigger than she ever imagined. It is not just about sacrifice, but the courage to change the world, to challenge the fate that exists, and create their own path. In a world full of powerful forces and conflicts between the gods, Hades and Persephone will prove that their love is stronger than the power that can be destroyed. However, big changes are still coming. What will happen to them when an unforeseen power threatens to alter everything? Will they survive, or can their love create something greater than all the impending threats? Will Hades and Persephone's love endure? Their love is a symbol of balance, struggle, and sacrifice. Do you think their love can endure all these trials, or will fate eventually separate them? This is a story more than just a myth. It is a lesson on how, even in a world full of darkness, there is an unstoppable power in love. And for the final part of this story, will Persephone return to the underworld? Or will a big change shake the kingdom of Hades and the world of the living? Don't miss the next chapter, where we will reveal even more about fate, love, and the changes that are to come.